Emannu'el Branch, YashaUniversity.com. We're out in front of First Bryan Baptist Church right here in Savannah, Georgia. And I'm standing with the one and only Sister Pat Gunn. Pat Gunn, introduce yourself and your organization.
Thanks, Emannu'el. I'm Pat Gunn. I am the founder and director of the Geechee Institute. And we've been around since the early 90s. Our purpose is to celebrate the journey of the African American community on the Georgia coast, specifically Savannah and the surrounding Sea Islands.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about this latest project that you have going on, this reenactment. Tell us all about it.
This reenactment is a very special reenactment because it evolved from another project we wanted to do. We wanted to participate in a $6 million grant from the Savannah Chatham County Public School System that was granted by the U.S. Department of Education to Massey Heritage School. They got a grant, Emannu'el, that they have been awarded $1 million a year for the past 6 years. And for the past 6 years, we have been going over as artists in the Gullah Geechee community, trying to get an opportunity to participate in the process. Can we become reenactors? The U.S. Department of Education gave them this grant for the purpose of telling the story. It's called the Teach America Grant.
Yes.
And the purpose of the grant was to teach America what happened here. And so they put an abstract together and was funded $1 million for the past 6 years. They've just recently, in December 2011, received the last grant for $1 million, totaling $6 million. And we basically have been told no, that we're not a part of the participation of telling that story. We have asked them to become a part of telling the story at Massey. They have a part in there called Slavery in Savannah. They have a civil rights component. To make a long story short, after dealing with the Department of Education, telling them what we're trying to do, we decided, since we are not able at this point to participate in the $6 million Teach America grant program, we're going to lobby so that they can actually do an investigation of why we can't participate. But while they're doing that, we decided among the Gullah Geechee community, why don't we put together our own slave reenactment to tell our own story? We believe that we must tell our own story anyway.
Absolutely.
So we were contacted by First Bryan and their membership. We loved the history of this church, Andrew Bryan being a slave and building it, and we decided that this was going to be the first of many slave reenactments, slave narratives, so we can tell our stories and teach not only America, but we need to teach Savannah what happened here. And so the 1859 story is the story of the largest slave auction sale in the United States and the last auction ever. And it was held here in Savannah, so why not? There are slave auction reenactments going on across the country in schools, in libraries, and museums. And so we didn't have to go and find a story about a slave auction. We actually were able to say that a slave auction happened here March the 2nd and 3rd, 1859, 3 blocks away from this church. And so we need to make sure that we bring people in to see it and we take them back in time. And the purpose is to educate and to heal, but we're hoping that young people will see this. And if there's anybody out there that doesn't know their journey, they need to come and see this. If this will incite one more person to go register to vote, if this will incite one more person to have respect for another human being, then our work is okay. But we must do a slave reenactment so that people can follow the characters and feel the spirit of those people who paid the sacrifice for us to be where we are today.
Absolutely. Now, this particular auction that you're talking about, more than 400 black men, women, and children. Is that what we're talking about
infants. Here? The Negro ad, and we'll have collectibles. 12 noon, the slave auction process begins with an actual slave relic museum. In this building at Sessions Hall, we'll have authentic collectibles, chains, whips, indictment papers, Negro ads. The ad for the sale said 426 men, women, children, and infants will be sold. The total value in 1859 was $303,759 in terms of sales right on the auction block.
Wow.
That value today, fast forward 2012, is $7 million in value.
Now, the person that owned them, by the name of Butler, do we know anything about Master Butler?
Pierce Butler owned slaves. He was granted land by the King of England, and he was able to take up a plantation environment in Darien, Georgia, and in St. Simons, Georgia. And he basically was a gambler. He and his brother raised cotton and rice. with 817 slaves. And when things got real bad, the economy got tight, he decided that in order to save his plantation, he had to auction off half of his slaves. And that's why they brought him to Savannah to be auctioned off.
So in other words, these human beings,
yes,
real lives now,
real lives,
they were used to pay off a debt.
A gambling debt.
A gambling debt.
A gambling debt. And of course, the $303,000 was far more than the gambling debt, so he made a profit as well.
Wow. Now, when you think about this, now, what about the families? Were families broken up, or were they all sold together?
No, families were broken up. We have information that will be a part of the exhibit, Servant Emannu'el, where they'll be able to come in and see the actual price each of the buyers purchased for the 426 slaves. The largest purchase was $1,500 for an African-American male. The cheapest price was $250 for two people that were elders that were in their hundreds. And
wow,
they purchased both of them for $250. But we have a line item of each price of each person that was purchased for that auction. Yes, sir.
Man, that is phenomenal. Now, who was it that took the time to go through this painstaking detail here?
Well, that's the work that the Geechee Institute does. We basically celebrate it by finding out the history, and we want to make sure with each one of our reenactments that we're authentic, that we have the facts, so we can teach our people the correct information. We want to make sure that people know, when you talk about slavery, they say, we don't want to talk about that. Now that we have an African-American president, I remember when he was getting ready to be sworn in as the first president of color, I remember them 2 weeks prior to that, all over the country, CNN and all of those, put information out about how many presidents of the United States owned slaves, and how slaves built the White House, and how slaves built Washington, D.C. Well, fast forward 2012, we can put you on a bus in Savannah and give you a tour of the architectural design of Savannah and its
yes,
buildings, and we can tell you that we built those buildings. There are Adinkra symbols on the customs houses and the courthouses and inside. So we built this country, and we particularly built Savannah. So we make sure that we do our homework very well. We do our research. But I think it's just a season where we have to tell the story of the slaves. It's as if the ancestors from the slave era are speaking to our souls, saying, tell our story, let people know what we went through, and on the other end of that, let them know that we went through this bondage because we had faith in God.
Go ahead. And on that note, we'd like to thank Sister Pat Gunn,
yes,
the
sir,
founder of the Geechee Institute, and I'm glad to be here documenting this whole
yes,
journey with you.
We're glad to have YahshuaUniversity.com with us.
Stay blessed, sister.
Thank you.